Hey Oscar, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
My name is Raina. I'm one of the peer counselors here at the University Counseling Center. Basically, my role here is to talk with students about incidents involving anything and everything, really. All I know about your case is that there was some incident involving you and alcohol, and that's pretty much all I know. So would you like to fill me in a little bit, kind of about why you're here?
Yeah, so yesterday I showed up to my morning class, and I was a little hungover, and my teacher noticed that I wasn't in full potential, so she went ahead and made me come here.
Okay. You didn't show up like your normal self, and your teacher was concerned, and having to do with alcohol, that's the reason why you're here.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for filling me in on that. So I can fill you in a little bit about kind of what these next 15 to 20 minutes are going to look like. Basically, I want to get to know a little bit kind of the role of alcohol in your life in general, stepping outside of this incident maybe, just getting an understanding of, what does alcohol mean in your life? We might share some information, maybe go over some concerns that you might have, maybe regarding the incident. And then I want to hear your thoughts on kind of what we go over, and then see if maybe at the end, what if anything you might be considering in terms of a change, which I want to be sure to let you know that anything that you decide to do is entirely up to you. It's not, my purpose here is not to convince you to do anything. It's more of to work together with you to understand maybe where there's some areas that we can work on together and maybe avoid some of the risks or concerns that you might have regarding alcohol. Also, I just want to let you know that anything you say in this session is going to be completely confidential. None of it will be able to get out to your professors or to anyone in the university. It's strictly between you and I. So what do you think? Should we go on?
Yeah, let's go on.
Okay, thanks. So fill me in a little bit kind of the role of alcohol in your life in general, or what is it that you like about drinking?
Speaking generally, I would say that most social gatherings with if it's with friends or families or whoever it might be, it includes alcohol. So I would say that's a major role that alcohol does play in my life.
Okay. Alcohol has a solid picture in your social life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So kind of on the other side of that coin now, what are some of the things that you like less about drinking, or maybe some of the risks that you have encountered? Or
Yeah. I would say that I find it a real danger to be driving under the influence of alcohol. And, it's really hard when you do go out and you have a little bit too much to drink. What are you going to do when you have to get back home after the night's over, right? So that's the big problem. Another big one is, when I'm around with my friends or something, they're usually like... they make it a competition to see who can drink the most. So I find that a little annoying because I don't have the highest tolerance in the world. So.
You seem to have gotten to know yourself pretty well over this time, and you know that your tolerance isn't as good at keeping up with your friends as maybe they think it is. And you also shared a pretty big concern about drinking and driving. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you already know some things, obviously, that are related with alcohol. Would it be all right with you if I shared some more information, kind of regarding some of the risks that are related with drinking above certain levels?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So if you recall, when you first got here, you took a short survey that was about 10 questions that asked you about your drinking.
Yeah.
That short survey is called the Audit. It's developed by the World Health Organization. And that survey is meant to kind of gauge people's levels of risk that they might be exposing themselves to with regard to how they're drinking. And so the scores on that survey range from 0 to 40. And if you can look on this pyramid, your score landed you at a 19, which puts you right at the top of this 20% of the population that experiences risks related to high-risk drinking. So now that you see yourself and where you fall along this pyramid, what are your thoughts?
That's a little concerning just because it's in the higher end of, on the higher negative end where you shouldn't be, so.
Okay, so you're a little concerned because it's not at the lower end of high risk.
Yeah.
It's at the near possible alcohol dependence level. Mm-hmm. And that's concerning to you. Tell me why. What concerns you about that?
Just because, coming from Hispanic family where alcohol is really prevalent, I've seen a lot of problems with alcohol misuse within like the family. So I don't want to be that. You know what I mean? I don't want to turn into that.
Yeah. You know what serious problems with alcohol misuse look like already.
Yeah.
That you've experienced that in the closeness of your family, and you have that as kind of like a message that you don't want to go there.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Well, it does sound, like you're seeing this and you're starting to realize like, whoa, that's a little higher maybe than you had expected.
Yeah.
Would it be all right if I shared with you another sheet here that I have? This is a list of some of the things that people have expressed that can happen to them, or they might encounter when drinking above certain levels. So if you see any here that call your attention, I wonder which of those would be.
Definitely overdose, because then you die and you can't do anything anymore. Addiction is a really bad thing, as I just said.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really big concern of mine. Legal problems, so if you get pulled over while driving under the influence, that could really mess up your life.
Yeah.
I think those are the major ones.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so again, we're hearing this common theme of your concern of addiction, right, and becoming addicted to alcohol.
Yeah.
And not wanting to go there, and your concern about the legal problems also. You had mentioned that earlier, getting caught drinking and driving.
Mm-hmm.
Tell with me a little bit more about what your concern is around that.
What do you mean by that?
Like, what concerns you about getting caught drinking and driving?
Well, I want to be a doctor. I want to go to medical school. So, right now it's a really competitive, we live in a really competitive world.
Mm-hmm.
So if I do have, the more like obstacles that I can avoid, I want to avoid them. I don't want to go ahead and like make my journey harder because of something that I can control.
Yeah, you've chosen a really competitive field to go into.
Yeah.
And you know that it's going to be tough
Yeah.
tracks getting there, and you for sure don't want to complicate that any more than it might already be.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and you're really seeing a DWI arrest as like a thing that could really impact that.
Yeah.
Get in the way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so help me also understand, kind of going back to your family, and help me explore a little bit about what goes on there. Like, what are some memories or some examples that you have of certain situations where you were like, oh, I really don't want to be that person, or I would never want to get to that level?
Whenever we had family gatherings and there was disagreement among two people that had been overly drinking that night, it has gotten physical. So I've seen that, and I don't want to like go ahead and just be a part of that, violence, contribute to that.
Okay. You don't really see yourself in that scene of the aggression, the anger, the violence,
Yeah.
plus the drunkenness.
And then when you ask them, like, you really talk to them when they're sober, they are good people. It's just that they were under the influence, and I sometimes wonder what if I personally I'm able to do that. So
Okay.
that's a concern of mine.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So you see how it kind of changes people and turns them into someone that they're totally not.
Yeah.
Someone that they might not even recollect that they were the night
Yeah,
before.
definitely.
And you wonder like what you would look like in that situation.
Mhm.
More like you don't want to know what you look like in that
Exactly.
situation.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, it seems like you really take from these experiences and you growing up with this around, and you've really started to form your kind of own vision of what you don't see yourself as in the future. Okay. And then one more thing you mentioned was your friends, and that, drinking around your friends and the driving was a concern, and the
Yeah.
competition. So help me kind of explore that. Tell me what a typical day looks like when you guys go drinking, or what that scene is like.
So let's say Fridays after school, I usually go home. I get home a little bit late, around 6-ish. So by the time I get home, I just shower, and then we take off to either Juarez or a bar or a friend's house, wherever the gathering might be.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, that's when this party starts. So we just hang out a little bit, start drinking, and that goes on to like 4 or 5 in the morning sometimes. So
Okay.
yeah.
So you guys are in it for the long run,
Yeah.
and you have a pretty set rhythm of how things go.
Yeah.
Is there? I wonder if there's a particular night or example of a time when things maybe got a little bit too out of control, or something maybe didn't go as planned or as smooth.
I remember this one time it was after we went to a bar, and we were drinking, and it was kind of like the after party, right? So we were already pretty drunk, and we were just sitting around in a circle, just hanging out. It was all of our friends and all my coworkers, and I remember me and this friend, we used to like kind of play around, play fight, like, you know, we used to call each other out, but it was nothing ever serious. But this night, he said something to me, and I got up and I punched him in the face, and then I sat back down. So that was one instance when it actually did get a little bit over control.
Okay.
Out of control, sorry.
Okay, so usually things are playful between you and your friends when drinking, but
Yeah.
something about that night made things different.
Yeah.
Almost made you react in a way that you wouldn't have normally reacted.
Yeah.
I wonder how you felt after that night, like after you realized what happened, or what happened?
I don't really remember how I felt after that night, so.
Okay. It's kind of hard to go back to that
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah, I remember that it happened, but I other than that, you know, other than me acting, there was nothing I can remember of it.
Okay. Just kind of like a blur, really
Yeah,
fast. It happened.
much.
Okay. And still, it was something significant enough to like leave its mark in your memories.
Yeah.
And you remember that night being different. Something about that night drinking with your friends was different. Okay. Seems to have kind of changed things a little.
Yeah, it did.
All right. Well, Oscar, kind of just putting all these things together that you've mentioned several things that seem quite important to you in the way that alcohol has been affecting. You're really concerned, first of all, about, you know, drinking and driving and how really that could compromise your future, your chances at getting into medical school and becoming a doctor. You're also concerned about, you know, drinking around your friends and how things can escalate kind of quickly.
Yeah.
And overall, you're concerned about not becoming the person that you've always seen yourself as.
Yeah.
You have an image of what you don't want to become, and you really want to make sure that you don't go there.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
All right, so we've put together some things now, and we have some ideas kind of what you're thinking about your concerns might be just around, you know, the way you drink. And so now if I want to ask you a question. If we were to look kind of into your future, whether that be, you know, 1 year, 2 years, this semester, you know, whatever that is, how important would it be for you to make any sort of change in your drinking? If you were to give it a number from like 0 to 10, 0 being not at all important and 10 being the most important thing you could do, what number would you give it?
To make a change, I would say, regarding like to just organize the times that I do drink. I think I have to change that just because of like I don't want to be back here, so I would say that would be a 10.
Okay.
For that one.
So it's a 10 in importance for you because you don't want to find yourself back here again, and you want to do whatever you can to make sure that you're not here.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So why else did you give it a 10? Maybe why didn't you give it like a lower number, like a 6 or a 7?
I would say because in order for me to fulfill my dream of becoming a doctor, I need to have really good grades here. So if I do show up, not only by showing up drunk to class or hungover to class, that's not the only reason why I want to do it. I also want to do it because to get into med school and to actually become a doctor.
Okay.
To fulfill those standards that I do need to.
Okay, so you're really seeing this as a change that's going to happen not just right now in your university classes for your Monday morning class.
Yeah.
You're really seeing this as a change that you can implement going forward into your future career as a med student, as a medical doctor. Like, you're not seeing the showing up drunk or hungover in the mornings as classic behavior for someone who is going in that direction.
Definitely.
All right, it sounds like you're really gaining some big insight, putting together your future and then kind of where alcohol fits in that. And so thinking off of that, on that same scale from 0 to 10, but now we're thinking about confidence. How confident would you be that you would be able to do this change?
I would give it maybe a 6 or a 7.
Okay. 6 or 7 is pretty up there.
Okay.
Help me understand why you gave it a 6 or 7 and not like a 2 or a 3.
Well, I feel like my what's it called, my success in actually achieving this would be relatively high, but I do still have like the uncertainty of it actually not happening because of like social pressures and etc.
I see. You're being really real with yourself. And while you do want to be as successful, obviously, as you can at trying this, you're still real. You still are conscious of the fact that there are things that can make this tough.
Yeah.
Well, I really want to commend you in, being that real and honest with yourself. And maybe now we can take some time to kind of flesh out what this change might look like for you so that you feel maybe, hopefully, a little bit more confident in doing that. So, looking forward, what do you see as your next steps? I know you mentioned you might cut back on the drinking before Monday class.
Yeah.
But help me understand that more, or what else are you thinking about?
Like what else can I do to change?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's not really a lot of ideas that come up to mind.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it can seem kind of all at once to come at you, but you already do have some good ideas, and then maybe we can go through some other things. Maybe I can offer you some things that other people have that suggested, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so some people that have considered making any change in their drinking, they think of different things. Cutting back can mean different things. It can mean cutting back the number of days during the week that you drink. If it's instead of doing a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday drinking, some people cut back to just Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
Or some people also cut back in the amount that they drink. So if they still want to go out, maybe just cutting back on the amount of drinks or the kinds of drinks that they have. Some people also just stick to counting the amount of drinks and setting a limit for themselves and finding ways to stick to that. These are some different things that people have tried, among other things. What comes to mind? What appeals to you, or what comes to mind after you hear some of these suggestions?
Well, I would say maybe cut down in the days, because there's only 7 days out of the week, and drinking 4 out of those 7 days isn't the best idea. So maybe that would be a good first step to take. Yeah.
That's definitely, it seems like a manageable first step for you and a good place to start as you're visualizing your week and how classes fit into that week. You're thinking cutting out a few days would help you kind of keep yourself together for the important classes and stuff that you have during the week.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What if anything, now that you have this idea of this plan, what if anything do you think might get in the way? You mentioned a few things, but I kind of want to make sure we cover those bases.
I would say, of course, social pressures from any kind of relative or anyone that you have a relationship with. Also, sometimes when things aren't going so good, there has been instances that I have used it as a resource to, kind of cope with the life itself.
Yeah.
So that's a thing that's unexpected,
For sure.
and that's something that you can't control.
Yeah.
So that might be a little exception there. But I think those are the two biggest ones.
Okay, yeah. So those random, unexpected dips in life that might want to lead you to drink. And then you also mentioned the pressures of your friends or your family that might not be in line with you in terms of your change. All right, so those are two very significant concerns that you have, and it's important for us to work together to try to find a way that you feel confident in these situations. So I wonder, what things can you think of kind of just right now off the top of your head that you could do either when you're around friends or family, and or when you find yourself in one of these tough, unexpected situations?
Yeah. What do you mean I can do though?
Like, what are some things that might come to mind instead of having to resort to drinking, or to keep you from falling into the pressures that others might be putting on you?
Again, I really haven't thought about that pretty much.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. So it's good to keep these in mind, and we don't have to come up with all the solutions today. But if it's okay with you, maybe looking forward, we can catch up and meet up again and see how things are going. And if any ideas come up, maybe we can talk about those. What do you think?
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. And then just lastly, before we wrap up, I guess I just also kind of wanted to get a last picture or understanding of, who do you think or what in your life could support you as you envision yourself making this change? Some people, some resources, or what do you already know that could support you?
I would say that it would be the dedication that I have towards becoming a doctor. I think that's the thing that's going to push me the most towards, to succeed in life.
Yeah.
Because it really has been my dream since I was a little kid, and it's something that I want to fulfill. So
there's nothing that you want to get in the way of,
exactly.
of you accomplishing this goal that you've had since you can remember of being a doctor.
Yeah.
And that's for sure going to be your primary factor that's going to motivate you to keep yourself away from these risks that you think might be able to get in your way.
I would say so.
Okay. Well, Oscar, I mean, it really sounds like you've gained a lot of insight, not just throughout this conversation, but in general. You have a lot of, really good perspective in how alcohol can affect your future. And it's really obvious that you value your future, your career, all the work that you're putting into everything that you're already doing to be where you're at now. Even just by coming here, and fulfilling the request of your teacher who showed some concern about you, it really shows that you do want to do whatever you can to kind of make sure this mess goes away. And so I really want to commend you for that, for taking this time to talk with me and being honest and sharing these things that can be a little tough to share, and for your openness to consider the things that we've talked about. You shared some really important things like, your future, and these things that are going to drive you to making this change and making sure that your friends and your family don't get in the way of this goal that you've set for yourself.
Yeah.
Is there anything that maybe that I missed or anything else that you might want to cover while you're here?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
Okay. Well, then just lastly before you go, if it's okay with you, I'd like to share just this pamphlet that you can take with you. It has some of the information that we covered and then some other additional stuff. If you find it useful or if you want to pass it along to someone who might find it useful, then that's all yours to keep.
Okay.
And if you'd like to drop in again whenever you'd like, feel free. Our doors are always open.
All right. Sounds good.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.